Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday. Let me know if you could hear me good or not. Welcome to another single Friday night stream because I don't go out on Friday nights. And depending where you're watching, maybe it's evening, maybe it's in the middle of the night. And if you're up, thank you, but I don't know why you would be up that late. Anyway, what's up, everybody? I'm continuing to build Coding After 30 website, Remix, Strapi. Yeah, and so today we're gonna continue this journey and we'll see what happens. And at any time, if anybody has any questions, you could always feel free to ask. I gotta move myself more in front of the camera. My camera's been kind of choppy. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, but whatever, it's fine. It's not like we don't really worry about being too professional here. Yeah, 3 a.m. is nuts. Hola, hello. What's going on? Data Metal Machine. I love the name. Northern Chip. How you doing? Artur, what's up? It's been a while. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing fantastic today. So, we are building our project. So I'll do like a quick recap of what we did last time. So, and if anybody has anything to say or questions, just keep asking whenever you want. But I'm gonna plug away and code. But if your conversation leads to other topics, that's so cool and great because I just want to hang out, you know. So yes, what are we doing here? So I'm gonna share my screen. So this is what we have so far here. We have this amazing nav bar that we built using Shetsy UI library that was very popular, but now I hear people are talking crap about it. Who cares? Like, I already committed to using it, so I'm gonna finish strong and use it. The cool part about this Strapi, this navigation here, all this content is not hard-coded. It's powered by our Strapi CMS. So if I log in to my CMS here inside global, you see that we have our top nav, Strapi mix, hello. Right, if I update this, right, or I add another test page, my kitty wants to hang out, but I'm like, come on, kitty, we're not playing games today. You could go hang out over there with your sister. Anyway, so we're able to update stuff on the fly in our CMS. When we save the changes and we go back to our project, for instance, I refresh, notice now we have our testing. Now, another thing that we did, and I'll show the code and I'll tell you the goal of today's stream, and I'll tell you why I'm going to do what I'm doing. But if we take a look, we have our backend folder, which is our Strapi application. Then when we have our front end folder, this is our Remix application. And I'm just getting Next.js, what was that, like exhaustion? So I'm just building things with Remix right now because I do too much Next.js at work, and that's why. And Remix is awesome because it's just cool. So we have our Remix application here, and let me know if you want me to zoom in a little bit or not, if you could see great. And so far, what we did, for components, we just created our top navigation component that you see here, and all it's doing, it's just getting the links, it's mapping to the links and rendering them to screen. And if you're wondering where the links are coming from, if we go to root.tsx file, we have this function here. It says get global data. In Remix, when you have a loader function, this actually runs on the server. So this is on server side. It gets our data, which we're able to get using the use loader data hook. And if I console-log the data, we should see the content of our request. And so you see that we are getting some data here, and I'm passing that data into our top navigation component, and that's what's being rendered on screen. So that's as far as we got. Is we have this navigation that's dynamically controlled by our Headless CMS. For instance, if I decide that I don't want this test, I could delete it. Maybe I want about, actually I want the frequently asked questions to be at the very end. And maybe I'm gonna update the name back to Strapi Mix, save. And again, when I go back to my application and refresh, notice all of these changes are updated. And I like this because as a developer, I don't need to worry about managing my content. I could just focus on building my application, my website, and content managers have this amazing admin within Strapi to be able to manage the data. And so today, the first thing I guess what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a couple of things. And one of them is to actually deploy my backend and front end. This way, once everything's deployed, you know that you have like a cycle. Like you could develop locally, you could push your changes to Git, and then those changes will be propagated into your deployment. So that's kind of like what I wanted to focus on. And so, but before that, I just want to show you one annoying thing, and maybe you know this library. But if I stop my project, notice how I have the front end folder, and then I also have my backend, and I kind of have to start them separately. So what I want to do is be able to run one script that will start both projects at the same time. And there's this library called concurrently, I think, like if you go to npm concurrently. Yeah, and so this allows you to run a bunch of scripts at the same time. So I'm gonna like set this up in my project, and I already did it in the past. So I'm gonna kind of use my example that I had previously just to set up, and then I'll walk you through it. So I have, by the way, if you're interested in following this project, this is the repo for it. Here, I'll share it in the chat. This is the working repo of this project, but I created a remix Strapi remix starter. So I'm not a big fan of Docker. Not saying that there's anything wrong. I think Docker is good. I don't use Docker because it adds another level of complexity. I know some people like to Dockerize everything, and you can, and there's nothing wrong with that. I try to keep things super simple, but I think, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with Docker, and a lot of people use it, and it in certain cases, it does make certain things easier, and sometimes it makes things a lot harder. I'm not gonna go that route today because, to me, I much rather focus on building the application than worrying about DevOps or deploying or dealing with stuff that's with like issues that Dockerize. And honestly, if I have like 3 hours in my day to work on this website, do I want to spend, you know, some of that time messing with Docker and then some time building my website? I'd rather like spend all of my time messing with building the website and not worrying about Docker. And with that being said, Docker is not bad. I just made a decision for this project not to worry about it. Yeah, and NixOS, yeah, that's the thing. There's so many. That is awesome. There's so many like great options out there. You know what I mean? Like the new hotness, Nix workspace, yeah. And like I'm saying, there's so many like options, and I feel like it's gonna be like a full-time job for me to work on those technologies. So, and at some point I will, but I'll tell you this: before doing Docker, what I want to do is I want to complete the AWS Cloud Associate, whatever that certificate is that walks you through all their services and how to deploy stuff on AWS first. And once I get that certificate out of the way and understand that big picture of that process, then I'll narrow it down and try to do like Docker and stuff like that. But today we're going to go like super easy and use like a DigitalOcean. Main reason to use Docker, if you're working with devs, Docker makes it easy to share. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Docker does make it super easy to share environments. But in solo project, Docker is all, yeah. And so I 100% in agreement, and that is why today on a solo project, I'm just gonna go the most basic route. But before we do that, I wanted to show you the concurrently package, and I already have a previous project that I did somewhere here, Strapi starter. And if you take a look at the package JSON file here, Jesus Christ, I don't want to hit the back button. Let's do this. How the hell you close this? I don't want to like. Oh wow, yeah, there you go. Move it out of the way. Anyway, so by using concurrently, you're able to have a couple of different commands that you're able to then combine together and run with concurrently. I'm going to like copy this just because I'm lazy and I don't want to like type this from scratch, but I'll walk you through the code and kind of the reasons why I did the script. So in my project, in the root of the folder. Yeah, so I'm here in my project. I'm in the root of my folder. And currently, if you take a look, there is no package.json file. So we're going to create a new file called package.json. And I'm going to copy and paste whatever. And this is probably not necessary at this point. And this is going to be Strapi Remix live stream project. Live stream. Live. Why are you complaining it's an unknown word? Live stream. Isn't it like how the fuck? It's like I can't spell, so I actually have auto spell checker in my VS Code. But a lot of times I'll just go ahead and just like add the spelling so the blue thing goes away. Anyway, and I don't know, this should be MIT, by the way. And so if we take a look at this here, I actually like when I set up projects, I like to do little things that like make things a little bit easier. So I have this setup script. So whenever someone pulls my project, basically you would run yarn setup and it was gonna run yarn install, which will install concurrently and everything else that you need in the root of the folder. Then it will navigate to the front end folder. I'm sorry, here. Yep, and then it will run the setup, which is basically we'll go ahead and install all the dependencies there. It will do the same thing for the backend, so it makes it much easier. So by having the setup script, it just makes it much easier for folks that pull the project to get started. Then I have yarn dev, which is using concurrently, which will start my backend and front end all at the same time. And let's see here, export. There's some extra. I'm just reading here. That's fine. My kitty cat here. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, yeah. So now what I'm able to do is I'm just able to run yarn setup, and that would go ahead and install everything for the front end, the back end, which is pretty awesome. And then like, what is it complaining about? See the copy. Yeah. So I'm not using this in my other project. I created like this copy and V script. To make things easier, but because I'm not doing it in this project, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete any reference to it because it's not necessary. Hold on a second, I deleted too much. So we want yarn, but we don't want to run that that script that doesn't exist anymore. So we'll just remove it. So now it should fix it. But I think it's like a nice to have some friendly scripts that allow people to have much easier time with your project. So now if I run yarn setup, it should not complain about it. And because it's gonna, now that we have concurrently installed, like if I want to start both my front end and back end project, I could do it like fairly easily. Yeah, concurrently has been around for, wow, like 9 years. I didn't even pay attention since it came out. Yeah, but first I heard of it. Looks very useful. Yeah, it's actually really, really cool because it allows you to like, so like instead of going CD, you know, front end, start front end, CD back end, start back end, and like you just spin up everything with like one single script. So once everything installs, I'll show you. By the way, it's nice to have a few people hang out on the coding streams. A lot of times it's so funny, and a lot of people don't like watching coding streams, especially like if it's someone unknown name like me. You know, I'm no one famous, but I think like it's kind of fun to code in public because that way if I mess up, like someone in the chat could be like, hey, you messed up, you should have done this instead. So it's like a cool learning experience. But anyway, because we have like concurrently installed and because I have this dev script, I could do yarn dev, and that's going to start both my front end and my back end. So with one command, I could start both my projects. And this is complaining. I don't know why it's complaining. Maybe because it started my front end first before starting my back end, which is kind of weird because I have, so it might happen asynchronously. Oh no, hold on a second. Yeah, because I am starting the back end first and then the front end, but it still starts the front end first. Maybe it's because of like it just faster. But anyway, once the back end starts, this is irrelevant because now we have our back end working, so we should be able to connect. But for instance, now I could go to my application, restart, look at it, it's running, and so is my back end running. So with one command, you could start, which is pretty nice. Peter Griffin, a celebrity. How you doing today? I love that. So here's my thought process. Whenever I build a project, I try to set up like the most basic skeleton project. For instance, here, if you look at the code, I set up my Strapi backend, I set up my Remix front end, and I made like a very basic implementation between like my backend and front end, where I make like a basic request to get some data from my backend and then make sure that I could render it on my front end, which is stop nav. So like I know that my backend and front end is connected and both projects working together. And so instead of to continue to develop locally, like I think the faster you could deploy a project to production and then have some sort of feedback cycle where you deploy something locally. I mean, you develop something locally, you add a feature, and then you're able to push it to production and see how it looks in production. I think that's a good experience. And so that's what I wanted to do today. So we'll start with DigitalOcean. I'm going to log in. And hopefully I don't show any crazy stuff. I don't think there's any crazy stuff available here. But if I have to, I'll move off screen. So I'm going to use DigitalOcean to host both my front end and my back end, just to keep it simple. And I'm going to create an apps using the app platform that I have. Just if you hate DevOps and you just don't want to mess around with that stuff, like this is like the simplest way to deploy. There's so many other platforms. I just use DigitalOcean. Sometimes I use render. So we're gonna select repository. I don't even know what the hell I called this repository. I called it Livestream. Wow, what a original name. Livestream. Livestream. And source directory, because this is a repo that has both my front end and back end. We're gonna point to the back end folder, and yeah, this sounds good. Click next. I know there's a bunch of stuff I'm gonna have to do after, and sometimes like deploying things is just like a process, even when it's like the simplest way of doing it. So I'm gonna, let's see, Livestream backend, add a resource. I probably want to add a database dictated from static sites, web services, functions. Oh, by the way, I should probably look at the process. Deploying this app to platform. There's actually a couple of things I should have done first before starting that process. So I'm going to do that now. So the first thing you want to do, like, we want to get Strapi ready for production. And so we need to configure our Strapi project. And if you've never worked with Strapi before, by the way, it's I'm a lazy developer, right? And the fact that I work with Strapi has nothing to do with it, but I just love Strapi. But this is the fastest way to like create a backend. Is just use a headless CMS. And I prefer Strapi, but there's a bunch of them around. And you could easily set up a project. So in 5 minutes, 2 minutes, you could have a backend from which you could get your data. You have this beautiful admin. So that's the route I went, just because it's easier and simpler. And that's what I like to do, to keep things simple. So inside my Strapi project, in my backend, we have a folder called config. And what we want to do is we want to create a folder here. I think it's env production, and I'll reference our documentation. So it's easier. Yeah, so we want to create config environmental production folder, and that's where we're going to put a bunch of stuff in there. So I'm gonna do config new folder. We're gonna say env new folder production, and then inside here we want to create a database.js file. So I'm just gonna copy what they have here, which will be perfect for our purposes. So I'm gonna create a new file called database.js and paste it in. And basically this is going to use my environmental variables that I want to pass, which we're gonna set up on the server. And because this is only gonna run in production, I don't have to worry about setting up these environmental variables here. And all of these are like on my local host running, so I don't care that I show you this, but whenever you deploy your project, definitely don't show your environmental variable folder to folks. But anyway, so we got our database.js complete. Because we're going to use Postgres, I'm going to have to install Postgres in my project. So I think I'm going to go cd backend, because that's my backend project. Cd backend, and I'm going to do yarn add pg. And again, and the way our project is configured, that locally it's going to use SQLite, but we're going to set it up in production to use Postgres. And let me take a look at the comments. Yep. Okay, no comments. So I'm just going to keep plugging away. So we have this set up. Then next we want to configure blah, blah, blah. Server.js. We want to configure this. So and then after we set app URL, so that sounds good. Set the public URL of the application. I'm kind of curious, like, if this is required, because I don't think I did this in my previous project. Let me take a look. DigitalOcean. Let me go back to my first project here. There's even easier way to deploy a Strapi application. It's using Strapi Cloud, but I'm just gonna stick with this for now. I just want to see what the hell, how my configuration looks like here. I have like another project that I'm working on. I'm building a mobile app, but my backend is powered by Strapi. So how does my, so we have config, because I don't think I set up, so I did set up server. So we did database if using plugins, so that's fine. Let me see server, host, port, proxy, app keys. Yeah, so I'm gonna just stick with this one to keep it simple. Although you can set your URL path, and we'll see if it'll give us problems or not. But I'm gonna go here and do new file, server.js, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. Yeah, DigitalOcean is the best, and I start with their app, but you could also do like VPS, which is kind of cool. So that's my next step. Once I get more comfortable, and when I have more time, I do want to set up like designated VPS and deploy and learn that. And then I'm going to go Docker and learn how to deploy Docker stuff. But that's like the path here. But yeah, no, DigitalOcean is really nice. And that's why I use it, because it is a lot of good tutorials, a lot of good walkthroughs. Their UI is better. And it's just like I've had less problems. And I don't mind like spending money on things that like make my life easier. So yep, we already installed this, blah, blah, blah. So now what I want to do is get commit message, and I'm just like a jerk gonna push to main. I'm gonna say before deployment, and then I'm gonna do get push up origin main. So this should update everything, and now I could go back to like DigitalOcean. The hell did I have DigitalOcean? I have too many things open. I'm gonna close some of these things because I have too many windows open. How we're just done with this. Don't worry about this. Here we go. So let's do Create. We'll start this process again. GitHub. Load repositories. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Cloak. You can hide your MV from live streams with. Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna actually check it out. Afterwards, I get this stuff. Live stream. Source director main. Yep, and then we want to do backend. And then we're gonna go next. And sometimes, like, by the way, with Strapi, what's cool, like, you could deploy, and this is something we're gonna do here. I'm gonna set up the database here, but I've lately, for like other projects, discovered NeonDB. Like, this is actually a good service. If you want like a cloud-based Postgres database, this is like a great option. This is something that I've been like kind of enjoying. But today, I'm going to go with, maybe I should just set up, I'm going to think about it quickly right now, because you could set up, I mean, the benefit, here's the thing. The issue with NeonDB, and sometimes it's not a big issue, but you have your Strapi application, which is your backend, and it needs to call your server. If your Strapi, the region where it's deployed happens to be farther away from where the Neon database is deployed, and because there's more space, it could kind of like add some sort of performance. So you typically want to deploy both your application and your database like close by. That's what I hear, but this is still like a good option, and I'm just gonna go with deploying everything to DigitalOcean. Add a resource optional. I'm gonna add a database next. Global. What I'm gonna do actually, like, because here's an interesting thing. Like, I've used the DigitalOcean, and I would add my environments here, but then after I deploy, for some reason they don't stick, and so I have to re-enter them again. So I'm just gonna not enter them. It's gonna fail, but that's okay. I'm gonna add them afterwards and redeploy. But it's kind of weird the way. Oh my god, $24 a month. Which option did I select? Edit plan. Let's go to one container. $12 makes sense. Yeah, it's our basic. Oh, basic. I'll do whatever. It's fine. This is for my website that I'm gonna be hosting, so I don't mind paying $12. That sounds good. Wait, Pro. Oh my god, that's so funny. On Pro. Wait. What are you doing to me? You can't set one container. I swear to God, I just did. You know what? It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Monthly app cost sounds good. So that's done. Back sounds good. I'm not worried about it because it's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire that up, and that's probably gonna take forever. But while it's doing that, we're gonna look at the documentation from. So we. Yep. We did this first part. We set it like Strapi up, and then app URL I didn't set up, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But I need to a database host, database port, database. It's kind of interesting because there's other environmental variables that you have to set up, but oh, okay, they're showing it here after the fact. They should have put everything here, but they didn't. But so I'm gonna do that. Yep, sounds good. Add manage database, database, kind of curious here. Connection host database. So you could actually add. You know what? No, I'm gonna stick with just deploy the digital database to DigitalOcean, but you could do npm install pg connection string, where you're able to change your configuration to use this, and that way you could easily point your Strapi application to your NeonDB hosted database. And I think I have like a project already deployed, but I'll show you. It's like pretty convenient. Yeah, and what's cool actually with NeonDB, like you're able to create a vector database. So if you're doing like AI embeddings, and that's why I went with Neon, is because I wanted to have a Postgres database where I could store embeddings. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and they have a pretty nice like free tier, so it's pretty good. But let's go back to DigitalOcean here. So go to build log. It's like doing its stuff, but it's gonna fail because I didn't add the environmental variables. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go to settings, and this part I would have to do off screen. Actually, like, yeah, I'll do this off screen. But then but basically you need to add your environmental variables. I'm gonna do it here. You could do bulk editor. So I'm gonna take it off screen and set all that stuff up. But if you're wondering like, how do I know what variables to include? It's because I'm looking at the Strapi documentation, and they're literally telling me like for your database with DigitalOcean, this is what you need to set up. And this is all the variables you need to have for your Strapi app. So I'm just gonna go pull this in, put it off screen. But then like looking at these variables, there's like nothing like super secret outside of this, but it's okay. They don't make this easy to copy and paste. Jesus Christ. By the way, how's everybody doing today? Any plans for the weekend? Any cool projects you're all building? Let me know. Love to hear in the chat. Also, let me know like if a lot of you like if you're already working, if you're still looking for a job, or if you're interested in learning to code, if you've been coding for a while. Let me know. I'm actually gonna, yeah. So yeah, so this is just time consuming to wait for your server and everything else. But let me just quickly do this. So lazy sometimes. Yeah, so that's all set. Right, I think I got everything I need. And save. Let me bring this back. So I added and updated my environmental variables based on the documentation. And in theory, and I always say in theory because a lot of times I always mess something up, and then I have to figure out while deploying stuff. But we'll see what happens. But I guess, well, I have to wait for this to deploy before I deploy my Remix application. But and while it's deploying, I'll just read ahead, see if I miss anything. And I could also, yeah, just wait for this to finish. Style components. Yeah, and deploying stuff sometimes is such a pain in the butt that like I just get everything deployed now, so that way I could just focus on adding additional features, and that way I know that my project is already deployed, so I could test it locally, but then I could check out and see how things looking are in production. By the way, like Have you ever used CNUI? I think it's kind of cool. What I like about it is whenever you find a component that you like, you literally add it via npx, and you're not getting like a full library, you're getting that component right in your code base. So if you take a look at my front end, I have the folder components, UI, and all the components from CNUI literally get saved in your project. So if you want to, you know, customize them or change them, you can do so, which is pretty awesome, by the way. Dude, sometimes this stuff takes forever. What the Jesus Christ. But that's part of deployment process. But if anybody has any questions or anything that they want to share or say, you can do so. It's a very open stream. We just hang out. It's like, and it's not too late for me. It's like 8:30 p.m. I'm having like my coffee so I could stay up. Build complete. Oh my goodness, how exciting. DB hostname not found. I knew it. I knew that something would be up. Of course. Of course. Yeah, so this is like the thing with like deployment. It's very rarely do I get something on the first try, because there's always something comes up. There's either like some configuration you forget, or something which is annoying, but we're not gonna give up. We're gonna suffer through this and cry and see what happens. Maybe I probably missed something inside the environmental variables, of course. Interesting. I swear to God, like, let's see here. We're not gonna give up. We're not gonna give up. Let's see. Bulkhead, you can blah blah. So maybe I don't see why. Because this refers to the variables that should be automatically set up, unless I didn't finish setting up my database, and that's why it's complaining. So let's look here. No, not here. Why does it say blocked? I want to go to my project. Yes, yes. Let's see. Sites. Settings, pro plan, overview. Did I not set up a goddamn database? I swear, this is the thing that I was saying. Like you saw me select that as an option, and for some reason it's like no. Look, app, live stream, backend. Okay, app. First project. Yes, that's the frustrating part. Let's do this. Let's try again. Let's see here. No, this is, hold on a second. Primer on 2 months ago. So let's create a new database. Sounds good. We're gonna do Postgres, and I swear to God, I did do this. Regular, $13 a month. Sounds good. That sounds good. First project. Create database. And here's the funny thing, like a lot of people like complain, they're like, oh, like you need to deploy stuff, everything's like so expensive, like, everything costs money, and the people looking for like free like services, and so at this point, like any service you go to, you have to pay. And so yeah, I'm like showing all my stuff here. It's fine because I'm gonna delete and redo it afterwards. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's just like how things are. So we'll let this set up, and then we'll point our project to this database, and hopefully that would be it. Now, I'm curious here because I have 2 projects. Yeah, it's fine. And I think one of them I'm using... I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. No big deal. But I'm not gonna just like spend the whole time just troubleshooting this. The goal is to deploy it at some point. But while this is doing it, we'll kind of think about like other things. So what I want to do is I want to build a website for Coding After 30 for this YouTube channel, and I want to do useful things. And so I decided to go with Remix to build my project. Let me just restart my project, yarn dev. And so far what we did is let me move this ahead. I'll come back to deployment in a little bit. We deployed our, well, we are in the process of deploying project, but we set up our backend and frontend locally. So we're using Strapi for our backend, which allows you to easily manage content, and you're able to get your content through an API endpoint. And then we set up Remix, and right now we have this navigation bar. So maybe we could focus on adding a hero section. And there's, you know, me, I'm not a designer. Like, I don't really care for like creating designs. So sometimes I'll just like look at existing things that are available. So there's this cool Headless UI template, and I'll probably just steal some of the things here, and maybe we could steal this nice little hero section, or maybe I'll start with this. But you know, like for me, like why build stuff from scratch if stuff exists? And what's cool about this, because I already set up Headless UI, I could literally go into this dude's project and see the components he has, and I could like literally borrow them and use them. But because he also has custom settings for Tailwind, what I could do here, if I want to use his settings, is go to the Tailwind config.js file and just copy all this stuff. And this is basically what he's using to set custom styles for his Headless project. So I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go inside my project in the front end, go to Tailwind config.js file. Did I already? Let me double check. I might have already pasted it. Keyframes according down. No, that was like, oh no, that's like the standard Headless UI stuff. So I'm just gonna replace it with that, so that way I get his styles, and that way it makes it much easier for me like to borrow his components. So I'll take a look at this hero section. So as a button, hero cards. I'm probably not gonna worry about the hero cards here. I'm probably gonna just add an image here. So I'm gonna go like this. I could actually like pull this too and be like, hey, this is cool, and then I could have it locally, but I'm just gonna copy it right from the repo here. And so now in my project, I'm gonna go to components. I'm gonna go custom, create new file, and I'm gonna call it hero, how original, TSX. And then just paste in what he had here. And I already have, like, if you're wondering where's this stuff coming from, button variant, hero card, I'm gonna not worry about. So let me like remove this, and I'm just gonna put P so I know something, add image here. So like we were talking about Chatzy CNUI, is that you're able to locally get the components and save them inside your code. So here I have my button, I have my navigation, so button will be coming from that folder. And because I'm using Remix, the way you do imports is like this. But so now I'm referencing this button from ChatCUI. Button variant is coming from that same place. So I'm gonna go ahead. Why is it? Why are you complaining? Why are you complaining? Why are you complaining here? It's a little button, that's why. And this is gonna come from here as well. And then I'll look at the questions in a second here. All right, so that should be fine. Redux UI React icons. I probably have to install that, which I will, but let me look at the questions. Where to learn CSS? There's so many courses online. Yeah, and John Smigla, thank you, Northern Chimp, or Kevin Powell, exactly. If you want to learn CSS, I would literally say Kevin Powell, YouTube. He's the CSS guru. Like, there's nobody better than him. Hopefully, this dude right here. So any CSS stuff, this is the guy you follow, period. But if you're looking for a good course on Udemy, is just look up John. Jesus Christ, where are you scrolling? I didn't say scroll. John Smilga. And this course right here, HTML, CSS, Tailwind. Don't spend $99. He always goes on sale. Like, you could get this for $99 or $12 at most. But yeah, don't pay full price for it. What to do? 40 hours of stuff. What I like about John Smilga's courses is that there's a lot of hands-on and a lot of practice. So that would be my recommendation. But yeah, even Kevin Powell or this, or any like Tailwind, any CSS course that you buy. But the key here, you only need one CSS course and just practice. But that'll be the recommendations here. So let's come back here. So what is this imported multiple times? What are you saying multiple times? Hold on a second. Let me take a look here. Oh, maybe this would be the process to do it and delete this. So that should work. And GitHub logo icon, instead of importing that icon, I'm just gonna say, you know what? I don't need the icon here. I'm gonna add my own button here, add later here button. So I don't have to worry about this. And so now I have this component here. And I'm gonna do export. I don't like arrow functions for components. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but I'm gonna do this. Export hero. And now, in theory, I should go back to my project here. We're gonna go to our routes folder, and our index.tsx is an entry page. So if you take a look at our project, welcome to Remix, that's coming from here. And so now what I'm gonna do is just import that hero component that we have, and Jesus Christ, fingers crossed, bam, and look at that, I did it. Fantastic. So the cool thing here is, like, we have this component here for a hero section, and we could fix it. I'm kind of like really zoomed in a lot so you could see, but this is how it looks. It looks great. And so what I could do now is I could populate this component through Strapi. There's a couple of different ways of doing it, and we could cover that process now just to kind of show you how you could get data. And for now, I'm not going to worry about the style text, but whatever. So in general, we have a heading, we have our text, we're gonna have area for an image, and we're gonna have area for buttons. And so what I'm able to do in Strapi here on the content manager, content type builder, I could create a single type here, which I'm gonna call home page. This is gonna be our main page, right? Oh, Jesus Christ, I clicked too fast. Create new single type. Please save your work before. Oh, I already created here. So I have the home page here, and now we could add like elements here. So I'm gonna add just basic stuff like title, and I'm gonna add another text field. I'm gonna say long text, which is going to be description, spell it right, and then I'm gonna add another field. Actually, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna save it here for now. So we have title and description. And so I want to add multiple components to here. So if you take a look at this landing page, he has a hero section, he has the investors, founders, he has about company, he has how things work step by step. So each one of these could be a each one of these could be a component that I set up in Strapi, and then I could dynamically populate it in my application. And so we're just going to start with a hero section here. And so what I'm going to do is inside my Strapi application, right, is we have a couple of link elements. And what I'm going to do is update this, because if you take a look at my application, I have links here which are styled slightly differently. And then I have this link that looks like a button. If we take a look at this hero section, we have links here, but they're buttons. And so there's two ways I could do that. You know what? I'm just going to create a separate button link component. So I'm going to go inside Strapi. I'm going to create a new component, and I'm going to call it button link. And if it doesn't make any sense right now, I'll explain things as I go along. I'm going to put it into the elements category and click continue. And so if you think of the button, it should probably have the text. It should probably have a link. We should probably tell if the link is external, meaning like goes to youtube.com, or is it internal to the app. And then we probably want to say, is it a primary button or secondary button? So we could style these. So I'm going to go in my Strapi. We build a button, so our button has text. Then we're going to create another field. Our button is going to have a boolean for is external. For instance, like I said, is it internal to the app, or is it like a external link going to like Facebook or YouTube or any other website? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it as false by default, and then click add another field. So we have text. And I want to be able to say if the button is primary or secondary. Maybe there's another styling you could add. So I'm going to create a thing called enum, and I'm going to say type, and I'm just going to say primary. But this way, at least, if I need to add another type to do other styling, I could do so. And so finish. And so we have text is external type. And if it's a link, by the way, we need another text, and we're going to say href. Or we could say link, whatever. Actually, before doing that, I want to stay consistent. I want to see what I called it in my other one. So in the link, I call it href. Oh, I forgot to save. You got to be kidding me. So anyway, let's do this again. So create new component. I don't mind doing this again. Button. The practice makes better. Link. And it did ask me, are you sure you want to move like you didn't save? So text, then add another field. Then we're going to do text for href. Add another field. We're going to say boolean. What the hell does the boolean go? Here you are. Here you are, little bastard. Is external. And then we're going to go to advanced settings. We're going to set it as false. Add another field, which is going to be the enum, and we're going to say type primary, let's do all caps, primary, secondary, click finish, save. Oh my goodness. Is my app running? A component already exists. Okay, let's refresh here. Yep. So let's add, I think I've been refreshing too many times. So we have type, let's just add text for href. To be honest, I think the version of Strapi I'm using is slightly older, so there might be a bug on refreshing admin. So we already implemented the fix. I just have to update this project. So I think that's the reason why we were running into that error. But we're just gonna say here, save. So now that we have our button link component, perfect. So looking at my landing page that we have, where's, like, I'm gonna delete this for now, like here, then we want to create a hero section which has header, text, button links, and an image. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go create a new component and I'm gonna call it hero, and I'm gonna add it to layout. Continue. Text, we have heading, then you're gonna have I'm gonna say text, or you could say subheading is gonna be long text. Then we're going to have one image, single image, and you can go to advanced settings, and we want to make sure that we only accept images here. And then the last thing we want to add here is our button links that we created. So I'm going to add a component, and I'm going to say use existing component. Go select component. We're going to select button link. I'm going to call it button link, and it's going to be a repeatable component because we want people to have an option to add a bunch of buttons if they want. I'm going to click finish, and so now you could see that I have my heading, my text, my image, and my button link. And if you take a look here, we have our heading, text, our button links, and our image. So we have a way to store our data in Strapi. So now what I'm able to do after I save, remember our let's global create new single type, save, refresh. Yeah, I should update my Strapi. I definitely have that bug here, but it's okay. I'll power through it right now because it didn't save our page either. So create a new page. We're going to create a page called home page. Continue. Let me check here. Probably crashed and broke my application. When in doubt, you could always like shut down and restart. Yarn dev. But that's the thing with like development, like nothing is ever easy. There's always like things that happened, and there's always like troubleshooting. But to kind of, yeah, and so it's just normal. And I think this is like a lot of times like people that are just new to coding, they watch stuff which is like pre-made. You know, they see someone create an awesome tutorial, not realizing that they spent a lot of time, they planned it ahead, they worked through all the bugs, through all the issues. And when new beginners like watch someone code in a way where everything is like predetermined and already done for, and people are not running issues, they think like, oh, that's how it works. Like when you code, you shouldn't run into issues. But I don't think I ever coded where I didn't run into issues with something. And especially when you're using other services, it's like you have to learn how to use them, like whatever. But that's just part of the game. So let's go to content type builder. Let's try this again. Single type. Let me create new single type. Please don't break. Don't you know that I'm streaming and you don't want to embarrass me? Okay, so that worked. Thank God. See, I think I just had to be nice. So we'll add a title. add a long text description. And then in Strapi, you have this concept of dynamic zones right here. And I'm going to call it blocks. And you're able to add a bunch of different components to it. And your editor could decide and choose which components to use. So as a developer, I could create a bunch of components that mimic the components that we have in the front-end application. And a content editor could pick and choose which component to use, and they could dynamically lay out their content on their page. So use existing components, select components. We just want the hero section. Finish, and bam. So now we have our home page data structure, which takes title, description, and we have this block for hero section. And if I were to create another component, for instance, if we take a look at our, why did I close that one? Which one? Yeah, so we have this one. We could add other components as we build them. Like for instance, we could have this about company. We could add the step-by-step, and we could structure the data in Strapi and add it here. So we'll have a hero component, we have about section, what have you. So we could dynamically like add things, which is pretty awesome. So now that we have our homepage, I'm able to get access to it by going to setting roles, and here's my homepage. And here you could see that we have access through our API to get this data. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to query this using something like Insomnia. That's the wrong window. It's this one. And so in Insomnia, because I made it public, I don't really have to worry about the bearer token. I'm able to literally make a GET request to that endpoint. And did I not save? Because it's forbidden. So let's say localhost bearer. Let's go back here. Save. Make sure homepage, yep, has find permission. So now we click send. I wonder, like, it's correct API homepage. We're making a GET request. Why are you saying not found? Yeah, this is API. Because it's a GET request, I should be able to see it here. Page. Huh. I wonder if I broke something in my Strapi instance, which is commonly happens. So this is correct. Let me restart my application. Maybe it just needs to be restarted. So roles, let's restart the application. Wait for it to restart. Let's try again. Roles, public, homepage, find, API home, GET request, save. All right. Let's try it one more time in Insomnia. What are you doing? Not found. Let's see. This is like so insane. Insane to me. Let me see something. Homepage. All right. Here's the issue. I am not paying attention. So let's go to our content manager. Like, let's see if we could figure out how stupid I am. We go to homepage. I did not add any content. I did not add a description. I did not add a hero section, and I did not hit publish. How the hell do you expect to find something if it does not exist? So let's I'm losing my mind. That's okay. This is our home page. page. So I'm gonna click save. And now if I go to hero section, I'm just gonna copy this stuff just because I'm not gonna worry. Heading, and then we go here, subheading, control copy, boom. I'm gonna add an image, browse files. Hopefully I have a good image to add here. Desktop. Do I have any normal images? Space. There you go. Image of space. Upload. Finish. And now I'm going to add my button links. So what button links do we have here? We have get started, add later. So I'm going to go here, get started, external. We're going to say false, primary button, and this is going to take us to get started. URL, started, and let's add another button, and it's going to be add later. Sounds good. I'm going to call it Strapi, and it's going to be external, and it's going to be secondary, and we're going to make it go to HTTP. We're just going to do strapi.io and save. So now when I hit published, now we have our data, we have our homepage, we have our hero section. And one thing that's a little bit like tricky with Strapi, especially when a lot of people first starting out, is when we go to Insomnia and we refresh, notice how we're getting the title and the description, but we're not getting the rest of our items like the image. We're not getting our button links. And so we need to tell Strapi that we want to populate these items. And in Strapi, we have Strapi query builder. And we're able to define and tell Strapi what items we want to return. And I'll show you how this works in a second. Let me just go to settings here. Oops, roles. I just want to make sure I have the right endpoint. It's this one. And so inside my query builder, I'm going to paste this in. And so if we take a look at our project and our content in our homepage, we have our blocks that we want to populate. And inside our blocks, we have our hero section. And we want to populate our image and button links. Image and button links in a database is stored like a relationship. So you need to tell Strapi explicitly to populate. But things like heading and text, because they're top level field, because they're not a relationship, they're going to be populated automatically. And I could show you an example in my other project where I'm doing that. So if I go to GitHub, I'm actually working on a cool little project for John Smigla's channel. It's still work in progress, almost done with it. This is using Next.js though, not Remix. But I'm going to show you like here in data loaders, notice how I am using different filtering to populate the things that I want. And here, this is exactly the notation we're going to use. And we're going to populate our blocks. We're going to populate our image and our button links. So that's what we're going to do. So inside the query builder, I'm going to do populate. And we're going to populate blocks. And a lot of times you're like, Paul, how do you know this? Well, it's reading the documentation and practice. That's how I know this. So also, how do I know this is when we look at our data structure, we have blocks. So we want to populate blocks. So that's why I'm saying populate blocks. And then inside those blocks, right? If we take a look, inside our blocks, we have our image and our button links. So I want to tell Strapi to populate those things as well. So I'm going to say in blocks, we're going to say image. and we're going to populate. And image field has a bunch of things. Actually, hold on, I have to say populate again. Populate. I'll show you why I'm doing this here in just a second. And we can actually specify what fields. Image has bunch of fields, but we're going to ask for 2 fields. The ones that we need is the URL for the image, and then alternative text. And then we also want to blah 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 blah. Hold on a second, I lied here to you here. I always confuse the notation, so I have to reference stuff all the time. I think it's populate blocks, populate image. I gotta tell it the thing that I want to populate. See, that's why like it's important to kind of look at the docs, because there's too much stuff to remember. So we image populate, that sounds good. And the last thing we want to populate is our button link. And let's go here, button link. And we're going to say populate true. And this kind of like, it's funny because some people like, it's like you're doing GraphQL, but not really. But the cool thing is you're doing it in REST. You basically have a way to ask your REST API only for the data that you need. You can say populate true. And so in our remix application, we're going to use this notation, but I just want to show you this example here. So I'm going to copy this LHS syntax here, and inside Insomnia, like notice how right now we're just getting the whole, like the title and description. But when I add that query string and click send, notice how now we're getting our blocks, we're getting our layout hero component, we're getting our button links, and we are getting our image. So now what I'm able to do, now that I know my API works, I'm able to make a call in my remix application to get this data. So I'm gonna go to my application. In the front end, and there's folder in the API. So here in Remix, when you create a file called loader.server.ts, it will always run on the server, which is kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this for now, because we're going to use the similar thing, and I'm going to create a new file. Actually, I'm just going to create a new function here. What am I saying? So why repeat yourself if you can do it? And what I did last week is I wrote this general fetch data function that we could use now to create additional functions to get the specific data that we want. So I'm going to go export async function is going to be get homepage data. This is wrong because ChatGPT has no idea sometimes of what to do. This API home page. So what we're doing here is we're going to make a fetch request to our Strapi endpoint, and we're going to use fetch to accomplish that. And because we're making a get request, we just got to pass the URL for the items that we want to get. And just like I showed using our query syntax here, we're going to copy this and we're going to put it inside our query. And you're probably wondering what the hell is QS and stringify. So here's the thing. Notice how whenever I write this object notation here, it goes ahead and creates this LHS syntax that we use to get our data from Strapi. So QS library does that for you automatically, like it's done here. So I don't have to try to write the LHS syntax. I just use this object syntax. So by putting this here, if we were to console log the query, it would look exactly like this, which is the format that we expect to pass as our query params to get our data. So now this should work. So we're making a call to our API homepage. We pass in the query. So now what I'm able to do in Remix, and I'll use the example that we have here. If we take a look at the root folder, if you want to get data, you would use the loader function. If you want to mutate data or submit a form, you would use an action function. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to our index.tsx page. This is where our hero component lives. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new function, which is going to be our loader. And we're going to replace this in a second, but I just want to show you here. And our loader basically will return our data from our response and will allow us to access it in our index here. And so the first thing I want to do is let me import that JSON. It's a helpful function that allows us to return things. And what I'm going to do here for now, just as a test, I'm going to say test data. Export JSON. Let me fix this so it doesn't complain here. So I'm able to get access to their data inside my component by using data. We're going to say it's called use loader data. Hold on a second. My outer import. What happened to my outer import? Use loader data. So use loader data comes from a Remix run. And this hook allows us to have access to anything that is returned by this loader. So if I console log data, you're going to see that we're going to get this response data equals the string data. And we could also extend the types by saying type of loader. Perfect. And so now that we know that we could make a call on the server using this loader function, and we're able to get our data in our front end component. So now I'm going to call that loader that we just created, get home page data. So let me go import get. Dude, my brain, like my short-term memory, like disappears. I don't even remember the things that I name from API loader server. So now that we have this function that we created, we could call it here. So we could say const response equals get home data. And I believe, let me double check here. Loader server. So I'm already converting it to a response JSON object, so I don't have to do it again. That's fine. So now if we take a look at our index here, we are getting our response and we're able to return our response here. And I'm just going to do it this way for now so we could kind of take a look at what we get. And notice what we're getting here. We're getting our data for our page, which is kind of cool. So now what I'm able to do is I'm able to take this response and populate my hero section. So let me just console log the response here so we could see better. See here. Yep. So in our response, we're getting our homepage title, our description. We're also getting the blocks. And what I want to do is I want to use these blocks to populate my hero section. Let me see at the time. And we we'll see how far we get here. I'll do another 10 minutes before heading out. And then if anything, we'll continue along later. So I could do if no data dot blocks return null or not found, does not exist in type. What are you talking about? Let me console log data. Oh, I know why. So what I could do here, I could either destructure this, or I could just, when I return the response, destructure the response here and blocks. So if there's no blocks, let's just say a little message, which we could finish later. No content found. In this case, if we have the blocks, we could go ahead and render them. I'm going to show you, not in this video, but in later videos, how you could have a dynamic switch statement when you have multiple components, how to take and render them based on which components you get in the response. But because right now we only have one, I'm just going to say const hero data is equal to data.blocks, and it's the first item in the array. And so now that we have our hero data, let's console log it. And boom, we have our hero data. So now what I could do is I could pass this data to my hero component, so we could render it. One thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take a look at what this looks like. By the way, I showed this last stream. Whenever you console logging something and you see like this image and you see object to object, you have button link and you see array, what you can do is instead of doing console log, you could do console dir, and you could specify the depth, which will say null. And then when you run the console log, it's gonna show you everything. And so looking at this here, we're gonna use this to help us like type our hero component. So our hero component has heading, text, image. So let's go to our, let me just move this so I don't have to switch much. Go to our hero component. And we're going to create an interface. Oops. Interface, hero props. And we have heading, which is a string. We have text, which is a string. Then we have our image. And what we could do, we could create a separate type image, and then we could later export it to like a better place. But let's say interface, image, props, and our image has ID, URL, and the alternative text. So we have ID. And what is that? We get a number. Nope, not string. Number. And then number. Then we had URL, which is a string. And then we had a alternate text, which is a string. So now we could say image equals image props. And then we have our button links. So we could create another thing called interface button link props, and our link has all this stuff here. So I'm gonna say, let me just delete this. this, delete this, delete this, delete this. So our ID is a number. I know there's an easier way to auto-generate types, but I'm just want to practice and go number. What the hell's a number? Number, text is string, is external, is a boolean, type is a string, gets is a string. And so now we could say our button link is an array of button link props, and then now we could say data equals hero props. It's gonna complain like says make your component read only, so you could do read only and make it generic. What the hell are you trying to do PHP there for me here? And read only. This should work. What are you trying to tell me here? Console log data. Yeah, sometimes VS Code lags behind. Hero, wait, hero props. Yes. Dude, this should not be a complaint here. I swear to God. Anyway, it's fine. So let me refresh my front end. Probably have to restart my project. Still getting the data. Let me move this here. So that works. And then, yes, we're getting our data here. So now I'm able to say, your section. What is that span? Okay, should see. So we're gonna we're gonna make everything colorful. I'm just gonna use this. I'm just gonna delete this. C4. Yeah, I see how this works. And then here we're going to destructure our data.heading. Actually, let's go ahead and destructure it here. So it's much easier. Const. And we're gonna say heading and text. And this is just gonna be heading. And we're not gonna worry about that. Let's not worry about this. Could fix it later. We just want to get data from our Strapi app. Let's refresh. Shetsy and landing page for React developers. And this is going to be our text. And then for our buttons here, we're going to do hero card section. Let's not, we're not using that effect, so no worries about it. So here they, what the hell? Okay, so they have a button and a link. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold on a second, class. Yep, button variant. Yeah, so I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna create a thing here, a component called function button link, and then we'll be able to button link props, and we're gonna return our link And then in Remix, they have a link component similar to like Remix, like React Router is the same thing. So it's import link, and that's from at Remix React. And so instead of this, we're gonna do link, and the link, it's not href, it's toprop. Button link props. And so now we're going to reference this to href target blank. This is the one I think that I gotta double check. I think this is if you want to go to, wait, hold on a second. Let me go back. Sometimes I forget. MDN link target. MDN is good. Anchor Elbit. Let's take a look. Let's read it together. The few of you that are watching still. So blah 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 attributes. href ping rel target self type so what we're gonna do if the link is external, we're gonna always say open it in a new window. So what we're going to do, if is external, we're gonna say blank. Otherwise, we're gonna say, I don't know why they said undefault, undefined. We could just say is self. Yeah, type blank opens out in new tab. Exactly. So we're gonna check like, and this is what I wanted to do, the external. If it's external, open in a new window, and if it's internal, it's app specific, go ahead, just open in the same window and navigate. And then here we're going to add our text. And then we also have our type. So const primary button. And then we could say equals. And we could say if type equals primary, we could use some sort of styling. Primary secondary button variant. So they're passing variant outline. Gotta think through this. You know what? We'll figure the CSS styling. For now, we're just gonna have two outline buttons because I'll have to think through that. But we have our button link component. So now here we could do, if we have button link, and we could do button link dot map, and when we map through it, we're going to return our new component that we created, button link optional chain expression. I don't understand why. Hold on a second. What's this complaint here? I don't understand why he keeps wanting me to do stuff like this. How? That makes that other warning go away. So now we have this button link. Hold on a second. Button link. Let me console log. No, I want to select button link. Boop, 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 boop. So it is an array. So what the hell are you complaining about? And it is working, but I'm typing it wrong. This is why like TypeScript is annoying, because it like sometimes, I mean, button link props is this ID number. That makes sense. This should not complain, but it's yet complaining. That's fine. This works. I know this works because we see it. I think let me restart my VS Code. I'm upset with my VS Code right now. It's probably not my VS Code. It's probably like the user, but I'm just gonna blame the VS Code yarn dev because it is annoying. See, now it's not complaining. It was VS Code all along. It's complaining here though. Button link does not exist on button link props. No, it's actually me. I'm pretty sure I'll have to figure that out later. So button link hero props data, yeah. I don't know what that's so annoying that it's complaining there. It's all right. We'll work through TypeScript later. And we're going to do as... Not as... what am I doing? That's why I hate like learning TypeScript at the same time. Piece by piece. But the cool thing about learning TypeScript, you could learn it piece by piece. You don't have to like worry too much about it. So that fixes that. This is still compiled, does not exist. But button link is a goddamn array though. Oh, hold on a second. Map data link. Button link props. No. Okay, I see this. Hold on a second. Yeah. Oh, here it is. This, you gotta put this. You gotta say it's a array of button link props, and then it's gonna stop complaining. So TypeScript basically annoyed me forever, just so I could be like, oh no, I gotta fix the typing. Although the code worked, which is hilarious. So if we take a look now at our application and restart, here's the cool part. And we could fix the styling. We could style the buttons later. But check this out. Oh, we gotta add an image. And there's gonna be another fix for the image component that we're gonna redo. But for now, I'm gonna do it really easy here. I'm gonna do source image URL alternative text. This is gonna break here because right now we're storing items in our local file folder. So we need to append like the project root URL. So local host, which we'll fix later, not today, to do this automatically. And then we'll style the image later, but I just want to make sure that we're getting the data. So let me see. I'm doing something wrong here. Let me do this. Local. Let me go to Strapi. Let me go here. No. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Just to double check. So let's do here. We'll do const image URL. Let's console log image URL. Okay, so there's one extra. All right, so this should work. And now we go source, and here we'll just do image URL. Image URL. And then the goal is like, I always try to get things to work first and then refactor and fix. So let's see here. Boom. So here's the cool part. So we did it. Yes, the headache. But here's the cool part. Minus the styling, minus the bunch of things we have to fix, we have a front-end application, we have a back-end application, and what we have are data. It's stored inside this amazing Strapi backend. So check this out. Like, I could change stuff. So if I want to replace, like if I want to change this, you are all awesome. Like, I don't have to be a developer. Thank you. I can't spell. Thank you for joining today. I don't have to be a developer to update this. So as a developer, I could create the front end to be able to render the stuff, but a content manager or a non-technical user could go here and easily like change stuff to have better images. That's a good image. Me looking confused. That's basically me every time. And maybe we just want one button, right? So I'm gonna save. We go back to our application. I refresh. Look at that. Like, dynamically able to generate the content. This is like the power of like Headless CMS, Strapi, and any framework that you want. Is you're able to create full stack applications where you as a developer don't have to worry about updating content. As a developer, it's not my job to go and update content in code. Let content management system handle that. So everything from our navigation, from our hero section that we'll make prettier later, is all being powered by Headless CMS. So everything in our global powers our top navigation. Eventually we'll add the thing for our footer. We have our homepage, which is our like homepage, where right now we have just the hero section. And in following videos, we'll go ahead and add the rest of these components piece by piece to our website, which will be super awesome. And so now the power is starting to come together of having our content management manage our content, and we as developers, we just write the code to allow a non-technical person to be edit their website, which is pretty cool. So let me do like a quick recap before we end here. So we're working on a project. We're rebuilding the website Coding After 30. We're using Strapi on the back end, and for front end we're using Remix. I'm gonna continue doing this stream until I finish the basic project. If you made it this far, I just want to show you something different really quickly. So everybody knows John Smigla, right? He's the best. So I've been building a surprise course for him. What the hell did I call it here? John's course that makes CD working project. It's almost done with it. But this project is built with Next 14, so slightly different paradigm than Remix, and they both have their pros and cons. If you're a new developer, I would say learn Next.js. But I am, come on, refresh. So I'm building, this is like, this site looks very basic, right? And again, like, this is using Next.js. And so let me move my cat for a second. Oh, come on, kitty. And when this video is done, I'm recording the videos. I'll share it. It'll be on John Smigler's channel. But we have this homepage, which has like this hero section, has features, has the bottom navigation, has the top navigation. And what's cool, this is all powered like the same way as I'm doing it in my Remix application. I'm using Strapi. Let me refresh this. Oh, it probably started in the, hold on a second. Strapi should be running. Why are you complaining? Strapi. Oh, it opened in a different port. So let me go show you quickly. I just want to show you how like it's a different framework, right? I'm using Next.js now. It's not Remix, but with Strapi, right? I'm still using it as that backend API. So I'll show you quickly before I finish the stream. And that's the cool power of like Strapi, is that you could use it with any front-end framework you want. And so we have like our authors, we have our categories, we have our comments that you could leave, we have our posts, and all this data structured is being stored in Strapi. You know, same thing that I was showing you in our Remix application. We have a global page to control our top nav. In this project, we control our footer. We have our homepage, similar to what I showed you. But what I want to show you here is that you could have multiple components and sections that your content editor could choose from. And that's why it's pretty awesome. And what's cool with this particular project, we're going to show how to cover logging in. We're going to talk about how to sign up to create an account. We're going to have our blog section. I'm going to show you how to implement pagination. And I'm going to show you how to do search in your project. So see, boom, embracing and found this. And all the things that I cover here, by the way, I'm going to cover in Remix in the project that we're doing now. But I just wanted to share this quickly. But I do these streams mostly for myself to just not be lonely on Friday night and code. But for all of you who are always jumping in, I appreciate all of you. It's always great to have you. And never feel like feel free to always bug me in the comments and ask questions, right? Because I'm not sure to answer your questions. And hopefully you find some value out of the stream. But regardless, I'm always going to do them Friday night, this coding. And then when I'm able to, Sunday, 11 a.m. Streams, we do more of like talking about getting hired web dev, what courses I recommend, just general chat, not so much like technical coding and stuff. But with that being said, I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Like from all days, you know, joining me on a Friday, like what the hell are you doing? You should be like hang out with your friends. I'm just kidding. But thank you for joining, and I'll see you all in the next live stream. And hopefully you'll see a video from me coming soon. And I'll probably stream Sunday. If I see you there, I'll see you there. But with that being said, thank you all and have a good night. Thank you all. Yeah, I'm still here. Still here. No, I'm gonna go. Happy Friday, Mr. E. Yes, 100%. I'm like, y'all are the best. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, thanks again for everything, and we'll see you later. I think I'm gonna go and finish my coffee at 10 p.m. and then go maybe play some Cyberpunk or watch some YouTube. But with that being said, I'll see y'all later. Take care. I'm actually finally saying goodbye. Bye, everybody.